Hello everyone. Fourth take. I'm way out of practice. So basically, I've been through a lot of life changes. A lot of stuff has gone down. I'm in a new place, which is good. The new place is good. Everything else, still working through that. But working through these things, I have kind of fallen behind the strangeness that has gone on YouTube. So for my inaugural video in the new house, as it were, going to stick to something I've dealt with before, but not on quite such a grand scale. I remember the tussle I got into with Bionic Dance over, well, it was a one-sided tussle, she didn't respond, over the definition of a word. We won't go into it. And I look at the people who are doing things like using the term regressive liberal. What the fuck does that mean? Which Puka has been, or sorry, Philip Rose has been doing a beautiful job tearing up on. And talking about language policing and thought police and social, political correctness. And something, I've been waiting for someone to say something loudly, and I guess no one has, and I haven't heard it, but I bet you several someones have come up and said this, is that anytime you correct other people's use of the language with the intention of putting forth your version as the correct one, I will put forth my video about feminism. You don't understand what it means is a perfect example, because I was making the case that the word feminism was being misused, and in a way that did not align with my understanding of it. And, well, the counter to that is that, well, a lot of people are using it in ways that are not the way I understand it. So, but when you do things, well, it goes beyond just controlling the definitions of words. Although my favorite example of it would be how the formulation that racism and prejudice are tightly coupled. They're not precisely the same, because racism is a more general concept and prejudice is usually a more specific one, as far as I know, as opposed to the concept of racism being an institutional thing. Therefore, it has to have power, and therefore you can't be racist if you don't have power. And yet, I don't know, that whole argument is very, very stupid to me, mostly because rather than the people trying to find out what the other person is saying and talk to that, they tend to shout each other down, at least on the internet. I find that these discussions go much better in person, even though it's still very hard to change people's minds. But on the internet, it's pretty much a shit-flinging match. But then you get to things like, and just to make sure I haven't lost the thread, what we're talking about here is language policing. How people use and attempt to control what words are used, to control what thought is acceptable in discourse. You have people talking about how their radio show, to use Rush Limbaugh as an example, to interfere with the relationship between the advertisers and the radio show by sending nasty grams to the radio show's advertisers and saying, we think you suck because you're advertising on that guy's show and that guy said this. that is somehow infringing on freedom of speech. Or removing Thunderfoot from Free Thought blogs for several things was infringing on his freedom of speech, despite the fact that Free Thought blogs was not Thunderfoot's, and Thunderfoot has his own YouTube channel and his own blog. That is a sort of language policing, as is when you talk to someone's opponent, or when you are talking about an opponent, and when they try and express their views, that what they're doing is indoctrination, or they're shilling whether or not you can make a tie between them and the people who are supposedly paying them. I noticed that 9/11 truthers use this one a lot to talk about people who point out the fact that steel doesn't melt at the temperature jet fuel burns, but it sure as fuck softens, as shills to someone or something, or perhaps unknowing shills, which means they're getting paid but they don't know it, or they're just, I don't know. It's stupid. In essence, we all use language to try and enforce our understanding of the world out to others. Whether we're gentle about it or not, whether we listen and try and return the concepts we want to express in different language that is more suited to what the language the other person is using. That's an adaptive strategy I can respect, but that's still what you're attempting to do is, here's how to express it. Language policing is when you insist that the language you are using must be associated with the concepts you wish to express, to the point that you are willing to overlook the concepts not being honored as long as the language itself is, provided the breach is not extremely obvious. And I keep on coming back to this metaphor, but it's basically just a tribal shit-flinging match in which each side adopts a particular form of hooting and hollering that is easily identifiable by the others, and that's how everybody knows who to fling shit at and who not to. And so, as far as I'm concerned, all of this language policing is bullshit and distracts from getting shit done. So, in this new incarnation of my channel, I will resolve to do as little of it as possible. And try not to spend too much time obsessing about other people who do it, because goddamn, I would never be finished. But I've been doing this for almost 9 minutes now, and you've probably heard enough. If you can leave me an example of a particular bit of language policing in the comments that you just don't think I can resist talking about, or another topic you'd like to see me speak about, I would love to see it. And thank you for watching. But next, I'm going to be doing a short video that I think you will find very useful. And it will be an accompanying piece to the next video that's on this channel. It's going to be a quiet inner badger video, is the short piece I'll be working on. But hopefully it will be good to be back. Hopefully I can get everything together and do something interesting for everyone involved. Thank you for your time and attention.